recording?
No.
You're on now.
I'm on now.
You're on now.
This is live. Mission, California. Bill Evans and the Zippity-Doo-Dah, too. Wind blowing about 30 knots. Just about right for flying.
Hey, Steve and Sean, we got some wind and we did some flying, okay?
I think it's about 40-mile-an-hour wind. Plus,
it's not blowing very much, you know.
Holy, get up. Come on. I ain't turning this one loose. It's going to take off without.
I can't fly in those 25-mile-an-hour winds. We wait till it gets going to about 40 or 50, then we go, you guys. So let's have some fun. And I want to see that arrow over under fly too. And that Scimitar is really something else, okay? And we have some fun. See you guys later.
Bell telling us this is, can you top this?
Yeah.
We got a few to get it. This is a California wind. How about the Australian wind? Tie me down now, please. Hang on. I got it. I don't know what I got.
We're out and get a couple of stills of this too.
Okay, here we are, April 23rd. And I'm going to show you a few of the Scimitar series. They start down here, and okay, we have a little traffic here. Here's the beginning, Saracens, our gliders, down through the first powered ships, down through, well, we go all the way down the other end to the newest, the Zippity Doodahs and the Vaders and the Polestar X's. Got a whole shot of them here. I think there's enough to see. Okay, we're gonna pick them up one at a time and do some talking. Hang on a minute. Yeah. Well, we're gonna show you a few Scimitars. I've been asked many times, you know, how many are there? How many different variations are there? How do they start? How did we do what we did? And we're going to go through a few of these now. We start at the end with the very first. The Scimitar began with a glider, and we went in from the glider to a powered ship and through a whole series of some 50 different aircraft here. So let's go down here and start with the very basic attempt to fly a tailless aircraft, and it's the grandfather of them all. It's called the Saracen glider. We began on the slopes out of Malibu Canyon with the Saracen glider, and this one it's over 20 years old, and it's 72 inches on the span. And it uses elevons, of course. They go up and down for pitch control, and they counter-actuate for roll control. In the early days we used a mechanical mixer, a sliding tray we developed. But this is one of the very first in this series, which began at all, the Saracen, which eventually went to the Scimitar. This is another slope version. It's a 48-inch glider, flew off the slope and off the high start as well. 48 inches, and a little high roller in these days. Then of course, back here was an effort at a large Saracen. In fact, you see, this is number 5. This is the 5th one ever built in this series, the glider series. 120 inches, 10 feet, and had a lot of fun with it. The aspect ratio proved to be interesting. You notice we reversed the elevons. This elevon narrow edge was at the tip, and we reversed it to make the aileron function more effective. We also introduced a couple rudder with the system to help in the turns because of the high aspect ratio. Now, the Saracen was named appropriately because it was very light and gives you the air effect. And when we built a powered version of the aircraft, as you know, the Saracens were the infidels who fought the Crusaders in the Holy War. And the power of the Saracen was his sword, called the Scimitar. So when we powered a Saracen, we put the power to the Saracen, we call it the Scimitar. And this is the very first Scimitar built and flown. Half A, 049. And you can see This was a number 7 after a glider series. This is the very first Scimitar, with an 049 in it. This is a more recent glider, but the next power chip in the series is called the Scimitar 15. The Scimitar, the 049 was in RCM, this was in Model Aviation. And the Scimitar 15, Model Aviation. And moving up in the power range, this was called a Navy. It had a 35 in it, and it became a little more powerful. Tricycle gear, you notice the flat gear here, a little different variation. And this was 503. After that came a little more power. This is the very first Scimitar 540. This was 40 powered, had a 7.5 in this one, and top speed was about 176 on radar of the 540. By the way, this is a glass fuselage on these. This is Scimitar Deuce, KB21. Rear exhaust, and if you look closely, you see lights here. This was a flashing strobe. Here's a green for the right tip. We had a red for the left tip. This was a night flying ship. We used to fly with the Skynauts. Well, one thing led to another, and this is the first Skywalker. This is a Skywalker 40 size. There's a Skywalker 60, a Skywalker half A as well. This was in RCM as a construction article a few years back. It was a triple article, the half A, the 40, and the 60. Fussing around many years ago, I thought we'd do one. This was called the Top Gun, but it was never published because everyone thought it was too much aircraft, 40 inches with a 7.5 in it. And some of the editors didn't think it would go too well because it was a special expert pilot only kind of airplane. So this is the first of the Cowboy series. We first had the Top Gun, and this was long before there was any Top Gun squadrons or anything else like that. Top Gun flying. See you. Thank you, buddy. This is the 61P Scimitar. 61P. 61 for powered by a 61 and P for pattern. You'll notice retracts in this one. These are the old Multicon electrics that Phil crafted a long time ago. This was in Model Aviation as a construction article. I've been asked many times about electrics. Here's a 15 electric version, Astroflight 15. Of course, all of the Scimitars are adaptable to, here's a Cobalt 15 size slow motion. Here's a 25 size slow motion fuselage. We use the same one. Many years ago I decided to do a bi-wing Scimitar, and it became the Astron. This is the very first X-wing Scimitar ever built, powered by a 15. And you can see that's the Astron Racer. Behind that is an Astron 60. That flies off a float. It floats off right now. But the X-wing is a practical airplane. Matt Arnett from Isabella, Lake Isabella, California, built a 85-inch span Astron, 26.5 square feet, using a Super Tiger 3000. Flew great. This is our tracer. This is truly a pattern ship. Tracer is truly a pattern ship. Has a rudder. It does all the pattern maneuvers. With a 60, it will tumble fore and aft, tip to tip. Here's one of our twins. This is a 19 twin, which was in Model Aviation. This is a half A twin that we did. We've done a 60 twin, and later on I'll tell you about a bigger twin yet. This was a fuss around thing. We had electric and we had glow in this as well. This is a large Desperado 3000. It was in RCM a few years ago. And this is another Desperado 3000. Ducted fans, yeah. How about a Simitar, S-E-A-M-I-T-A-R. 7.5 ducted fan unit. Been told it's the first ducted fan ever to go off water, but it flies great with a 7.5 and twin fins, fan mounted here. Now there's another Top Gun. Here's another Top Gun, a 60 size Top Gun. And you can see there's a float on it. We've flown this at Clear Lake some 3 or 4 years in a row now. Does well off water and flies inverted, rolls, loops, the whole shot. Like all of them. This is well, we took a half A wing and stuck a KV-15 Conquest rear exhaust in it, and gotta keep your eye on it. It's a pretty good mover. Pushers, yeah, we have pushers. This has got a 7.5 in the rear end, and this was named the Alien, I guess. Looks a little different cockpit, a little different front end. And for something even more different, come over here to the bottom line. You notice the canards up here, done for effect only. They have no aerodynamic effect on the aircraft, just for looks. JFL, 60 powered bottom line. Here's the Future, 60 powered, a little bit of anhedral, very sleek aero fletch type, vertical on the rear end. It quite a performer. The Milwaukee Scimitar Squadron has a 100-inch version of this with a 5.8 Sachs in it. Flies like a 40. But here's the, of course, the French answer to the Chipmunk. This is the Cap 21. I call it a T-Cap 21, tailless Cap 21. Doesn't tip stall. Flies great. Flies at an idle. The Shooter. This is a Shooter 40. It was in Model Airplane News. It was July of '91. 6.5 in this one. We have a 60 version as well. Here's the leading edge. This was an RCM twin fin job with the fancy scoops in the back. This has been an all-time favorite, slow motion. Bill Winter and I toyed with his thought, and Bill wanted to fly a Scimitar, so this is a slow motion, and out of the slow motion came the Bullet, 40 power job, 40 inch on the span. It's a Bullet racer. It's a slow motion Bullet if that fits, but we're running a little 40 in it. And then to go a little bit further, we did a stretch version of the slow motion. All we did was make the fuselage longer. It's called the Tradition. Same type of aircraft. The tail is stretched a bit. And then to make it even better, we went to a 60 size Tradition. And we've also flown a 3,000 powered Tradition as well. And it has an 85-inch span with a Super Tiger 3000 in it. And one of the most recent all-out favorites by far has been the Polestar. The 60 powered, hot 40 powered. This is the 50-inch version, and this was in RCM March of '91. It's been a very, very popular ship. Guys have had a lot of fun. And out of the Polestar came the Polestar FBI. This one has an 80-inch span in it. Bill Winter had to have a large, he loved the Polestar, but he wanted a big one. Bill Winter actually has a 96-inch version,